So it's been 2 weeks since the last update, and as always, if anybody has any questions during this process, if there's something that's not clear, please feel free to ask. So I'll go over the program schedule. So historically, we've done the schedule in this manner. And this was because Rupert and Martin wanted it this way. But we're going to try something new as we go through this today, and I'd like some feedback if you like it better than presently. But these are all the projects that make up 2020, and I'll go into some more detail as we talk about it a little bit. So what we've tried to do is show what projects are already completed and where we are from an in-progress perspective. So as you can see, we have a handful of projects that are already completed and some that are still going on, and one that we've yet to start but that will follow soon. So this is the new approach to demonstrating from that versus that previous slide as I continue to do this PLG update every 2 weeks. So what's completed? The backup consolidation. Backup consolidation previously would back up around 1,200 servers, whether it was daily, weekly, full backups, half backups, etc. But it would back them up with a 75% failure rate if you tried to restore from the backups that were being done at the time. Today, that 1,200 number is a 3,800 number for servers that we're backing up with a 100% recovery rate. So whenever something needs to be recovered, we have a 100% success rate since completing that particular project. Public cloud, so we have presently 2 locations where we can do the testing environment in the public cloud. That's deployed testing, and that saves about 65% of the previous cost to Cathay for the testing environment of applications. The Wi-Fi, there was a core Wi-Fi project which has been deployed globally, as well as in all the rooms, as we've noticed here in TDC, as well as in the training areas. So one comment that was actually made yesterday, while we were having cocktails in the evening, was the procurement APD was commenting about why there were so many Cisco devices towards the south side of the first floor of the street. And he said, let's get a little better with IT and not over commit specifications and requirements. And then I explained to him there was a requirement from the pilots to have the ability to connect to so many people to connect to download flight plans and documents in that area at a certain period of time with a certain throughput. So it wasn't over-speccing it, it was actually a requirement to fulfill and satisfy a need. So those are the kind of challenges that if someone doesn't understand fully what you need to deliver, they may not quite get why the costs are what they are. Private cloud, what that does is allow us the ability to take a workload or an application and move it from our on-premise data center to the public cloud, depending on which one's more cost-effective to run those applications. Again, that is complete. Exchange upgrade, Active Directory, and IP telephony. Again, 3 other projects that are now complete as part of 2020. What's in progress is the decommissioning of IMC2. IMC2, as a lot of you know, is that second data center that we have in Taipo.
Everyone knows.
Well, that's the people I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So in Taipo. So we pay millions of dollars a year for that, which we are decommissioning by this June. And the reason why we've always had that second data center is the Cathay BCP, or business continuity approach, was that if the first data center failed, and it has to fail in total, not an application, not servers, in total, in order for that second data center to kick in. That was almost zero possibility of occurring. So that data center is completely going away, and those cost savings are being reflected to Cathay as a benefit of the 2 new data centers that for 2020 is deploying. This is the previous way we would always explain the achievements for the last 2 weeks, which is just a simple table format, but now we're going to go to a different approach and style to see if you like it. So I had one of my interns prepare this one, which I think he had done a pretty good job. And to demonstrate these 2 applications that have migrated from an old platform to a new one. The second one is the email approach. We've taken your old email archives and we've migrated over 32,000 mailboxes. And I wish everybody just had a few megabytes, but we had some that had over gigabytes of data from since 1997, I had email boxes to migrate. And of course, everybody wants them online and to be able to access them. Lastly was a security upgrade. We've implemented a lot of these standards across Cathay presently as we move forward. Again, this is a 2-week update from where we're at, but let's not forget, we started out with a $2.7 billion program, and we've come in ahead of schedule and at $1.6 billion, over $1.1 billion in savings from what the original business case was. So, any questions? No? Okay, thank you very much.
Come on. Okay, so,
These are old slides.
right, so just stay there. So what is the normal reaction you get from these people after this?
Originally, it was a lot of, they would ask a lot of details. No, not so much.
Because they understand it.
Because there's consistent progress. We have an embedded accountant from the finance department with us. So the dollars have been consistent, we don't overspend, Martin's been happy, so by the time I do this 2-week update, it's
Okay.
no excitement,
Can
really.
you go back to the second or third slide, the one with the big data Excel sheet? Okay, stop there. So I'm not against this. And let me just explain, because this is kind of like a traffic light dashboard, right? Yeah. So if this is kind of like your map of where you are, then you show that map. I mean, this has a lot of detail, but if you're discussing from that, I would rather have that than the next slide, because the next slide just have 3 groups of stuff. It doesn't tell me where we are. So if you're reporting on 25 different things, and they like this, and they can follow this, and it tells them what is on and what is off, use it.
And this was an evolution. So they wanted to know, from a health check perspective out of PPM, which is the tool that we use to monitor the programs, what are the status, what are the ones to be concerned about, what business risks are mitigated by each of these particular projects, what was the RFP process and timeline for the business case development to get to when we actually started execution. The light blue would reflect actually when we went past what we thought would be the final date, and there's a lot of reasons why that occurred.
Right. So that's what I mean. So this is your map.
Yes.
For us, it's just like a lot of stuff, and it's really busy. But if this works for this environment, and it gives people a quick overview of where you are, don't change it.
Okay.
What I would change, and what I would do is, I don't remember a single number you just said. You gave us a lot of numbers, but none of them were on any of the slides.
Correct.
So you said 2.7, this and that, and I was like, holy shit, this is a lot of numbers in a very rapid order. So what I would do is, I would use, if you talk about specific systems, and you have a longer update on the system, I would create a slide like the mailbox slide, or the rail, the bridge slide,
Yep.
and then put the number of that on that, because people don't remember.
So like put the
Yeah,
32,000.
32,000, right there in the middle, and say 32,000. So it sticks, otherwise it's just another number. Because you are one of those where you have an update with a lot more numbers than most people. And people suck at remembering numbers. They are much better at remembering pictures and stories. Now, I know it's not a storytelling session, you need to give them a business update. But that's where I would go. Because right now, if you ask us tomorrow what we remember from this presentation, not a lot. Because it is very technical.
Sure.
And it comes from an IT point of view, and a lot of it is, you still have codes and shit in there, and I'm like, what are you talking about? IMC2? What was it?
Well, that's why I intentionally said, as you know, the data center in typo.
You just made 10 people feel really stupid. But yeah, I know you're talking to other people, but what I would challenge you to do is, and then you can think about Martin or whoever you normally speak to, but take one thing of what you normally do, so the IMC2 or something else, and create a 3-minute presentation where you basically make that come alive and explain it like you did with the rally car or the bug fix from something we know.
Okay.
Because we don't know that. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And yes, you have Rupert and Martin and whoever, Paul, who are more familiar with this, but one day you're going to have Chris Gibbs in the room. He has no fucking idea. Tom Owen doesn't know. So they're just going to sit there and go like, what is this dude talking about? So if you have a way to change that into something people understand, it'll be great. What you have going is that it's obvious you care. You're energetic about this stuff. And you love IT, I can see that.
I do.
Yeah. Great eye contact, I mean it's structured. You know your shit, I mean that is obvious, you know what you're talking about, so it brings a lot of credibility. It's more about the language and the pictures. And that's the big thing for you.
Okay.
Did he say infrastructure?
I don't think so.
No, but you said
applications.
he said a lot of other things, so I'm like, dude. Alright, okay, thank you.
Cool.